Speaking of batshit crazy premises,
Yeah.
our last movie tonight is the excuse me, is the classic comedy movie Kingpin.
Yes, from the Farrelly Brothers, who also did Dumb and Dumber, and There's Something About Mary. Uh, yeah, this is a movie that in my household, my parents used to watch it all the time, but I wasn't allowed to watch it for obvious reasons. Um, but yeah, so this movie is about
Oh,
basically.
well, and from my perspective, if you were in a um, if you were in video stores in the '90s, this was always very prominent, and it always seemed like the type of movie that my family might have gotten. Except that having now watched it as an adult, it's like, oh, okay, yep, I see why mom and dad wouldn't approve.
Yes. Although, oddly enough, this movie has a PG-13 rating.
Really?
Yes.
Who did they bribe at the MPAA for that one?
I don't know. Man. Yeah, but yeah, so this movie is the story of Roy Munson, played by Woody Harrelson, who's a bowling prodigy, and his big claim to fame is he wins the Iowa State Championship, and then he goes on the pro circuit. And as he's on, and this is in 1979, and as he's trying to make his way through the bowling leagues, he runs into Ernie McCracken, played brilliantly by Bill Murray. Uh,
Playing to type is kind of a self-obsessed jerk.
yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Ninja asks us if it's 80s PG-13. It must be, yeah. Um,
Even though it's a '90s movie.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so what happens is, of course, Roy needs some cash, and Ernie, Big Earn, he teaches Roy the art of the bowling hustle, where they go into a bowling alley, and they pretend they're drunk, and then they put up a bunch of money, and then bet a bunch of money, and then they act like they're like, oh, I'm not very good, or I'm drunk or whatever, but then then
Classic
they win.
hustle.
Classic hustle, yeah. um but it's during this hustle that the guys that they hustled didn't take too kindly to that, and so Ernie leaves Roy behind, and poor Roy, they stick his bowling hand into the air chute where the bowling balls come out, and so he loses his hand, and as you see in the poster, he's got the hook. But he also wears like a rubber prosthetic hand that has his championship ring on it.
Yeah. And so, his life goes absolutely nowhere from that point.
Yes. And so then, but then as he's trying to make a living selling stuff in bowling alleys, he comes across Ishmael, who's played by Randy Quaid. And of course, Ishmael is Amish. Oh yeah, we probably should mention it takes place in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which for those of you who don't know is also where The Office takes place. And
also, wasn't it the birthplace of our 46th president?
Yes, it was. Yeah. Um, and so he of course he's Ishmael lives in this Amish community, and so he just of course Roy's like, oh, this guy's a great bowler, and so then he tries to get him to like, hey, let me take you on, and so they can earn some make some money. And of course Ishmael, he's not supposed to be bowling because he's Amish. It's against our culture. And and so, but then what ends up happening is the farm, the community, their Amish community, they need $500,000 to say, to pay off their mortgage, and of course they have the big bowling championship in Reno, where the grand prize is $1 million, and so they come up with this this scheme, like, okay, well, we got to get to Reno, but then they don't have any money, so they start trying to hustle, and and of course, as they're hustling, they hustle this like real rich jerk, and of course he has a girlfriend, and the girlfriend's in the poster. I'm trying to remember the name of the Claudia, and so basically it's just then it turns into the three of them going around hustling at all these different bowling alleys, getting some money so that they can go to Reno to win this big tournament. And of course, waiting for them in Reno is Ernie McCracken and his comb over.
Yeah. So a lot of the comedy in this movie is just dumb, like sight gags and almost airplane-esque jokes.
Yeah. And it is extremely raunchy too.
Yes, the scene where Woody Harrelson is pretending to be another Amish. Like, oh, I went out to the barn and decided to help you out, and I milked your cow. We don't have a cow. Got a bull though.
Yeah. As he's drinking from the bucket.
Which, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'm gonna go brush my teeth.
If that joke made you more disgusted than intrigued, this movie is not for you, because it doesn't get any more highbrow.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. But this movie is it's a comedy classic for a reason. Yeah, it's just kind of one great gag after another, and and then of course you got Randy Quaid's Ishmael, who's just as you would expect from an Amish guy. He just out in the real world, and he doesn't know how anything works, and
Very.
Yes, yeah.
It did occur to me that the 90s comedies, both on TV and in movies, were kind of obsessed with the Amish. And then I realized, in the early stages of political correctness, the Amish were like the one minority group who wouldn't be liable to know about your movie and write letters.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't know that you're making fun of them.
And it does kind of also, how to put it, they are also since it is a very closed community, it also tracks in terms of it is very. I'm going to start over. It basically makes for excellent fish out of water stories where people can understand the premise very quickly.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and of course you got like Woody Harrelson. He's just this. He started off as just this kind of like wide. He starts off as this like wide-eyed, very naive, like small town guy, and then he just turns into this total shyster with a hook hand.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, I've seen a few Woody Harrelson movies now, thanks to this podcast and other things. This is definitely my favorite of his performances.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah,
it makes me like Now You See It even less because of the raw natural comedy resource that they just left on the back burner.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah. The other thing too, like you remember, I think you were talking about like how like the the gags, they're just really the punchlines always worked. Like the one the one scene that got me was when Roy and Claudia are fighting. They actually get into like a fist fight at one point, and she kicks him in the balls, and of course, normally, a lot of comedies have a scene like that where a guy like gets hit in the balls or kicked in the balls or whatever. But this movie does it better when he gets kicked and then he says, "You got a really wide foot. You got both of them."
Which works as like an insult on her too.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if we'll try not to give away too many of the jokes because I do want people to watch this movie.
Yes.
It
is worth your time, and it does actually have a bit of heart to it, which you wouldn't necessarily expect for a raunchy comedy like this. But you do find the characters sympathetic in their own ways.
Yes. Yeah, and there is some redemption too with them too. Yeah. But yeah, it's this one's on Netflix. So yeah,
give it a shot. Why don't you?
Yes, indeed. Well, I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.